Hey everyone, my name is Rocky Meyer and this is our Black Hills home. Today we're in the shop because we're going to do a quick shop tour. So let's get started. So before we begin the tour, I'd just like to kind of go over why I'm shooting this video, just some details about the shop, and then what do I do in this shop. So first off, the reason I'm shooting this video is just kind of more of a reference for where things were at in 2021. I plan on making a lot of changes and improvements in here. It's going to take some time, but it'd be kind of nice to be able to look back and see where things were at in 2021. A little bit about the shop. We've been here for about 4 years now, or a little over 4 years actually. It's just a two-stall garage. It's about 24 foot wide by 27 foot and 8.5 foot tall ceilings. So kind of your standard garage. It is a shared garage. I've got lawnmowers, bikes, and four-wheelers, and everything else we need. Also, I do bring my wife's car in here normally in the summertime. So everything's got to be kind of a little bit modular and be able to move around and fluctuate with the different stuff that I put in here. Lastly, just kind of things that I do in here, primarily, obviously there's a lot of storage here and stuff like that, but primarily I'm doing a lot of working with wood, projects like that for the house, for, in the shop itself. I do a little bit of, I work on the four-wheelers in here and I work on the lawnmowers and bikes and stuff as well. But primarily it's going to be woodworking type things in this shop. But I think that's about it. Let's get started on the actual tour. All right, so this is the first corner of the shop. As I mentioned earlier, this is a shared space, so this is kind of where I've got everything tucked away. So bikes, lawnmowers, shovels, rakes, all that stuff's kind of tucked away into this corner. All stuff that honestly could go into a shed. I do plan on building a shed, hopefully maybe this summer. If not, definitely the next summer after that. That would really alleviate a lot of space for me, and it would kind of get rid of all this junk. So I think that's enough of this corner. Let's keep moving. Moving on over, this is my dust collection system. So nothing too fancy here. This is just a Harbor Freight 2 horsepower dust collector. I did just recently update all the hoses and fittings and everything to the Dust Right system. So far, I'm really happy with it. Kind of expensive, but with everything being mobile in here and things changing, this is just a good system for me right now. Obviously, it'd be great to have things plumbed in, but it just doesn't work right now. On top of this, I do have a jet air filtration system up on the ceiling here. Between the two of these things, it's really improved the dust collection in this shop, so pretty happy with this system. All right, next to the dust collector is these upper cabinets here. I would guess these were probably the original cabinets in the house. They were in the garage when we moved in, so they were here, might as well use them. Nothing too fancy in here, just chargers and some miscellaneous camera gear and stuff in that one. However, on this one, I came up with a solution a while back. I like my tools being kind of put away so they're not getting full of dust and stuff, but I also like them kind of being hung up and be able easy access and all that as well. As you can see, I've kind of overgrown this and I have plans to change this. Actually, starting today, I'm starting a new project and we're gonna probably do away with this. So that's that. All right, nothing too fancy in this corner, just my TV and my heat source. This is South Dakota, so it gets pretty cold here. In fact, it's about 9 degrees outside right now. This morning when I got up at 5:30 and kicked the heat on, it was about 32 degrees in here. I would say by noon, I'll probably have it pretty easily 50 to 60 degrees in here. The walls are insulated, but the ceiling's not, so it's a little bit tough to keep it warm in here. But I kind of like working in the cool. I don't mind it at all, so it gets the job done. Next to the TV and the heater, I've got some more upper cabinets, and this is actually my power tool cabinet. So I've got all my power tools in here, most of my power tools. as you can see, I've kind of overgrown this cabinet a little bit. I do plan on moving some of this stuff over to this other cabinets as soon as I clean out all those other hand tools. So I do have some tools kind of throughout the shop, but this is where most of my stuff's at, like my drill drivers, cordless router, jigsaw, circular saw, drill bits, all that's kind of in this cabinet. Same thing as the other one. I like that this is in here, not getting full of dust. And also if the garage door is open over here, people can't necessarily see all my power tools. We live in a good neighborhood, but you never know who's driving by. It's pretty yellow in here. I'm a big fan of DeWalt. I've had really good luck with DeWalt. The other reason I've stuck with DeWalt is, you know, the batteries, right? So you buy one thing with batteries, it's just easier to keep buying that same brand so you can keep using the same batteries. Nothing against Milwaukee, Makita, Bosch. There's a lot of great brands out there. There are some probably less expensive brands, but I kind of buy tools a lot of times with the thought that I never have to replace them. Some of this stuff I'll have to replace, but a lot of this stuff will last me a long, long time. So I think that's about all I have to say about my power tools. This is the back wall of my shop. As you can see, I have some upper storage here. It's kind of a mess up there. I do have some plans to reorganize and clean this up a bit, but for the time being, it's kind of just a mess. Below that, I do have kind of an assortment of everything as far as tools go. A lot of stuff that doesn't fit in the cabinets or in the drawers and stuff like that, that's going to be up here. I do like a lot of this stuff being right here. You know, it's nice to have it real quick, grab it. I don't have to search for it in a drawer. However, there's a lot of stuff on here that probably needs a little bit better solution. I definitely need to figure something out with clamps. Right now, my clamp situation, it's kind of a mess. I don't like it. So that's going to be something I probably tackle maybe even this year yet. Just everything's a little bit of a work in progress. Further back in this corner, I do have kind of my first two power tools here. So I have a scroll saw. I've had this for years and years and years. I don't use it very often, but it is kind of nice to have. Next to that, I have an older bandsaw. This was actually my grandfather's bandsaw. I don't use it a ton. It really needs a good tuning up, probably replace some bearings and things like that. So I don't use it as much as I probably should. I do plan on getting a nicer one, but it'd be hard to kind of part with this one since it was my grandfather's. So again, more miscellaneous tools, all my saw blades, all that stuff is over here as well. So nothing's overly organized, but it's easy to see, easy to grab. Moving on over, I've got all my sheet goods storage back here, tucked away kind of in the corner. It's nice that it's out of the way, but it's not ideal. It's a little bit hard to get stuff out of there. The reality is I probably just need to get rid of some of that, so I need to do some more projects and use some of that plywood up. More stuff that probably should be in a shed, but again, I don't have one, so it's in here for now. Jumping down here, this is my 12-inch DeWalt compound miter saw. Works great, love it, had it for quite a few years. However, I did just recently build this little cart here. Probably looks pretty familiar. I've seen a couple people make these on YouTube. April Wilkerson, Fix This, Build That. I know he did one as well. So nothing too fancy, but I like it. It takes up a lot less room. I did have the nice DeWalt stand that came with this, but it's 6 foot long and doesn't have wheels. So it made it really hard to get back to the plywood, or it was just seemed like it was always in the way. So obviously this has got the wheels on it and moves around as I need. I really like it so far. So kind of a happy little accident too. I do have a Bosch router table down here. Didn't really build this so that would fit underneath there, but I just recently bought it. I do plan on putting it in my table saw. But for the time being, it actually fits in here perfect and it's out of the way. So happy accident, I guess. Next, I have one of two workbenches in the shop here. This is nothing too fancy. I built it a long time ago out of 2x4s and some particle board scrap that I bought off of somebody on Craigslist. I actually moved it here. It does have the ability to fold up flat up against the wall. I've got hinges here. However, it never happens. As you can see, I've got a bunch of tools here, the vise, you know, all of my pry bars, all this stuff is kind of sitting on top of here. So it basically never gets folded up. The primary use for this workbench is going to be for working on lawnmowers and four-wheelers and bikes and weed eaters, whatever, you know, kind of mechanical things that I have. I don't care if I get oil on it or fuel on it. It's just an old workbench. So that's kind of where all that happens here. I also have my air compressor right over here. Nothing too fancy, just a Cobalt 8-gallon air compressor, and does everything I need it to and some. So I do plan on moving all these tools out of here, same as the other ones. It's going to go into this new storage solution. I really don't like them sitting out here getting full of dust and stuff. I guess that's like a pet peeve of mine. So I do plan on fixing that, and then maybe I can actually fold this up as it was intended. So let's keep moving. Above this workbench, I do have some lumber storage that I put up here. These are just going to be my longer scraps, 2x4s, things like that up there. I also have my door board starred over here on the side. Kind of nice, it's up and out of the way, doesn't interfere with the garage door, but yet it's still relatively easy to access. All right, this corner is kind of the same as the first corner. It's mostly stuff that could be in a shed. Ladders, you know, the four-wheeler with the snowplow would be kind of nice to be in a shed instead of in the garage. Do have some more upper cabinets, obviously going to be more yard stuff, automotive stuff, funnels, you know, grease guns, stuff like that over there. Not organized whatsoever, so needs to be done, but it's kind of a low priority. I think that about wraps up this corner anyway. All right, last but not least, here is kind of the center area of the shop. As you can see, I've got my table saw right here in the middle. This is a Delta, I believe 36725, if I remember right. Had it for a couple years. I really like it. It's on a mobile base, so I can take this, move it over here to the side by my other two, the scroll saw and the band saw, so that if I need to pull a vehicle in here, I can do so. Like I said, I've had this for a couple years. I'm really happy with it. I think there's some modifications I'd like to do to it. Like I mentioned earlier, putting the Bosch router table in the one end. A few other little things, but for what I'm doing so far, it's a great saw. Next to that, I actually have my second workbench here. So kind of go into a little more detail on this particular one. So this is the heart of my shop. This is kind of where everything starts and where I finish everything. This is my 3-foot by 5-foot assembly table. It does work as an outfeed table as well for my table saw. Don't use it very often for that, but it does have the capability. Built this a few years ago. It just started out as just a simple plywood structure, but I've added a lot to it. So obviously you can see in the front here, I've got a bunch of hardware storage. Nothing fancy, just Harbor Freight, you know, storage and stuff in here. I like it. Keep all my screws, all my nails, you know, kind of organized and together with like things. Also on this side, I have my I think it's 4-inch to 2.5-inch hose adapter for my dust collector. And then I've got all my different ports and stuff for my sanders and stuff. That's all dust right. So far I really like that. And then flipping to the other side here. So on this side, nothing too crazy over here. I do have a nice roll of butcher paper for putting over the top for when I'm finishing things. But the rest of this side is all drawers here. Added these a couple of years ago. You know, nothing too crazy here. They are soft close. I kind of did that more than anything to keep stuff from opening if I'm moving it around. But I got pencils, I've got paint supplies, I've got all my sandpaper, all that stuff can be stashed away in here. And the middle cabinet's kind of handy also. So rather than being like a normal drawer, I've got it kind of pulls out here. So inside here I have my air nailer, I've got my Dremel, I've got hole saws, I've got, you know, Forstner bits. All that stuff is kind of stashed away in there. And then I also have on the top shelf here another jigsaw, you know, sanding stuff. All that's all kind of tucked away in here. And then also my plunge base for my Bosch router. So tucks away nice in there. Everything, you know, kind of at hand. The other side, same thing. I got some safety, you know, my safety glasses, masks. I've got kind of my odds and ends tools like the iron, you know, the heat gun, stuff like that that's not getting used all that often, but it's kind of a vital part of doing what I do here in the shop. So this table is on wheels. It has the rockler, you know, push down to lock wheels. However, that one side it did tear out, so I do need... This table got a lot heavier than I was anticipating it being originally, so I do need to add another set of wheels and kind of fix up that side. But if I ever do need to, I can move this out of the way, but I can still pull the car in even with it sitting right where it's at. So I think that's about it with this assembly table. I think that's going to pretty much wrap up this shop tour. I appreciate you watching it through. I hope you got something out of it, and maybe if you've got some recommendations or anything like that, feel free to leave a comment. I like constructive criticism. I don't do everything perfect, obviously, we can see that, but it's always interesting to see other people's opinions on stuff. So if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching.